Hey boys, what do we have here? That other game. Are we going to the campaign? There's been a patch released yesterday. It's Coldfix. Took them nearly 2 months to release it since they released the last DLC. Total War Warhammer 2 patch 1.12.1 and Cavalry beta. So, what the hell they did here? I went through it myself yesterday, but I haven't done it on the stream, so this is gonna be it for the stream. Total War Warhammer 2 patch 1.12.1 is now live for everyone. It will update automatically through Steam. This patch features a variety of changes. So there is some problems present since the launch of Silence and Fury, which was 2 months ago. While they are all classes bug fixes, several of them should have a balancing impact, particularly on multiplayer. We hope the patch improves your gameplay experience. In addition, we are developing a beta patch to target some major rebalancing of Cavalry. Details on this are towards the bottom of this post, and it can be opted into the usual way through the beta stub on in Steam. Nothing really mentioned, importantly. They didn't even name the page, just, this looks like, just a page, hot fixes. Just, 7 weeks too late. Total War Warhammer 2, okay, general changes. Fixed issues with collision models and chariots, which were causing them to be overpowered. Oh boy, we can't have overpowered chariots. Area of effect spells no longer affect units outside of their effect range. I'm not even sure what that means. Fixed an issue where entities moving into wizard casting magic missile can cause that character to cast again. Well, we can experience the, like chain fireball casting. Still happens. When a mod gives foreign slots to a faction that does not have them, the game no longer crashes on load. And these are the general changes. A word has been mentioned regarding broken ambush AI. The Undercity is being broken. Not a word. I guess issue for the next patch in Warhammer 3. But thank God they balanced the game. Khazrak and Morgur can no longer re-emerge after their death. Fix the bug where Khazrak couldn't use his abilities when mounted on a Tazgor chariot. Khazrak now gives Razgor chariots vanguard deployment. Taurok's Juggernaut raiding stance no longer takes away the movement range increase from raising a settlement. Okay, that was fixed. According to this. A maximum of 50 rampage can be earned through a single battle now, regardless of how many are fought. This prevents an infinite rampage bug where 150 range can gain up in a single battle. I guess if you're just doing consecutive battles, so now it's 50. Which still makes Taurox have one of the most powerful campaign abilities. In the Moral Empire's campaign, the objective is to either raise or control settlements now ticks off correctly. General, fixed an issue where Caden Unleashed would not unlock when requirement conditions were met. I think that's a technology. The final Bloodground regions don't move to a new Bloodground in case of overlap when establishing a new Bloodground. Okay, that was bugged, it was not intended. We noticed this several times. Fix an issue in Beastman co-op campaigns where a partner upgrading the starting Hearthstone would prevent the user from upgrading theirs. Wow. Asgard shared Mount Heroes now count towards the hero cap. Holy shit, it took them 2 months for this. 2 months. This is literally hot fixes on week 2. They waited 2 months for this. And nothing about broken ambushes around the cities. Oxyotl Sanctum Defense missions are now display the correct amount. Increased frequency of medium and hard vision spawning. Okay, this is definitely near improving. Final quest bell will no longer expire. All appropriate horde buildings within Nakai's faction now correctly affect new units and increase King Oracle capacity. What's broken about this undercities? The player can access AI undercities, cancel buildings, upgrade buildings, or remove buildings. Kid you fucking not. The whole interface is broken. That happened since they introduced Oxyodal. What is the bug for the ambush AI? The ambush AI, most of their infantry doesn't know what to do. They just move left and right, going left, and then they're just reformatting formations. Sometimes piling the whole army in one spot. They only seem to know how to use faster units in those ambushes. And it affects quite a bit of faction. I think it's like a third of the game nearly. So it's just broken. If you guys have not experienced this, start the Alitenar campaign or Skaven campaign, ambush a couple of enemies, you'll see what's going on. It's totally broken. Heck, even when you're ambushing with other factions like Wood Elves or Empire, you'll see this broken AI. This is probably the spaghetti code broken from the going left, and the changing formation non-stop, so they pile up in the middle. That's broken shit from the early release. They've never been improved or fixed. General made improvements to Cortal melee animations. Fixed the bug where the Skink Oracle on Troglodyte was firing a double volley over the Troglodyte Sonar speed whilst on the move. Temple of the Old One's ritual now increases Skink Oracle capacity. I got the ambush bug against Khalida with Wars, killed the entire army with Garch Taros, and they just stood there and took it. Yeah, that's the bug. That's the bug. It's apparently what I was heard from people, what I've seen myself. Guesstimate it's happening 7, 8 out of 10 ambush battles. It varies on their composition as well. They have a lot of large units, it's a little bit different. Green skins fixed an issue with the Grown's final battle. The player would be unable to control their units. Vampire counts, remove duplicate White King button from the hero recruitment UI, we've seen that. Kevin von Lloydstein now correctly equips either Skeletal Steed mount when purchased via his skill tree. So his mount was bugged. So this is the update, guys. This is what's applied right now. And if you wanna go to the beta, different version of the game, you have to go to the Warhammer properties and click on the betas and choose a different version of the game. Apparently, this update that's been applied right now is not applied on Cavalry Fix beta. So if you pick the Cavalry Fix beta, Cavalry Fix, what a low, you will not have the fixes they fixed in the patch. So you have to, you know, decide if you want to check the new Cavalry changes or have the current patch. So yeah, looks like the janitors, you know, are at work again at the company. I mean, they do have the most experience working at the Cavalry assembly. Total War Warhammer 2 Cavalry beta. So let's see what it says here. The goal of this update is to improve the effectiveness of cavalry across the board, but especially targeting issues related to being countercharged by infantry and the underperformance of heavy cavalry. So they're trying to do here with this is make cavalry feel better, do better when they are charging head-on into other units that are charging them, especially infantry. because infantry charging the cavalry was overperforming due to just sheer number of them. Because the second, even third rank can hit the cavalry depending on the infantry's weapon range. So a unit of Bestigors, which is an excellent unit to countercharge anything, because they're deadly in charge, would do massive damage to any unit charging it. Since countercharging is usually going for the massive damage on either side. Several battle gameplay interactions have changed to address the issues that heavy cavalry is suffering from. The issue itself stemmed from the interaction between infantry countercharging cavalry due to the number of entities in an infantry unit outnumbering cavalry entities. In Warhammer games, the usually cavalry size is 60, unless they have bigger mounts like cold ones, like the Great Stags, then it can be even less. While a usual elite infantry unit is like 100 or 80 or 60. So they usually just outnumber them. Which means, you know, the cavalry is not really a steamroller unit in most situations that goes directly to attack a full health unit. But instead, it's an opportunity unit by design, using its speed to punish weaknesses in the enemy deployment or, you know, positioning of the certain units. Well, some cavalry units, you know, are just over the top made to win no matter what, with the help of, you know, max stats, buffed, or magic. Like the main example would be the Battonian cavalry. So, more attacks were being received on cavalry than they were able to put out against the infantry they were charging. Just because they were outnumbered. Just because they were outnumbered. But this is mainly to contact, as they can easily get surrounded after charge. So don't get mistaken by this, you know, when they're charging and when they start fighting in melee, it's two different things. So the issue is the charge, in this case. So how the damage is dealt in the charge. This little cavalry actually training very poorly against counter-charging infantry, especially infantry with high armor-piercing weapon strength. This was not intentional, so we look to tweak some interactions to reduce the damage infantry can do in this situation and make sure the cavalry impact felt as strong as you would expect. Well, whatever reason, you know, they are giving us here why they went look into it, everybody knows why they did look into it, because, you know, the cries of a YouTuber, you know, the squeaky wheel, you know, is always, you know, going to try to get it fixed first, because people don't like, you know, squeaky wheels in their you know, machine. So whatever reason it was to, you know, get there or to do this, you know, I guess they want to show they're actually doing something. What I find ludicrous in this case is people thinking, you know, a base cavalry, any cavalry in game, should charge head-on any other unit in the game. Especially units they don't have advantage against, like heavy infantry. The heavy infantry is basically a cavalry unit, especially the shock infantry is a cavalry unit that just moves very slowly, which have massive numbers, like Bestigors, prime example. Well, the cavalry can, you know, outrun them. They're not supposed to, you know, fight each other, because one is, you know, numerous, slower, and one is just, you know, faster. And this is not a game like Middle Ages of humanity, where you have a unit of knights charging down peasants in the field, levy troops, or whatever is in the field, the crossbowmen. This is a world where you have various knight orders, various factions, various types of cavalry, beasts, races, with different, strengths and weaknesses. So, these things are tricky. It seems like people thinking, Dark Elf should have a chance in melee combat against Lizardmen in the early game. While the Dark Elves can catch up in the infantry quality later, they really can't compete with the Lizardmen in just straight melee in the beginning. So this is like just one big variety difference between the races. So you're not supposed to use the Empire Cavalry like the Emperor Knights and head charge into a unit of like dead tier, like Graveguard, for example, regular Graveguard. The Emperor Knights might have the armor to, and the size to do some initial charge, but they're all just gonna lose. Well, they could go after, bigger units. Doesn't mean if they're armored or they even have a higher charge, that they're supposed to be like, something special in the battlefield. It just gives them a little bit more survival. Well, their primary role is still to exploit enemy weaknesses and look for opportunities. Same like with the Black Knights early on, you're not supposed to go head-on fight the Empire Infantry, other than, crossmen, archers, maybe swordsmen. It all depends on, a lot of factors, let's just say the base, not everybody's supposed to fight head-on. When it comes to the situation of the Empire, like demigrips with halberds, they're supposed to go head-on into like Chaos Knights, head-on into any literally a large unit. While the Demigryph Knights, the regular ones, they're not supposed to go head-on into stuff like great swords, great weapons, stuff like that. It's just not gonna work, no matter what their status is. The head-on fighting, you're just giving them advantage. There are factors like you can add massive stats, faction unique stuff like Blessing of the Lady for the Bretonia, 20 the physical resistance. The healing magic, the over the top buffs some factions receive on some units. These factors come on top of that. Simply thinking that you can send your elite cavalry into another elite unit, they're gonna win, it just doesn't work. They're just over the top chaser unit that just punishes opportunities and counters certain units. Some units are supposed to go just directly into the other side, like if they have anti-large bonus or anti-infantry bonus. But still, in most situations, they're gonna be outnumbered, unless they're fighting one-on-one against a similar unit that just has a disadvantage against them, like Blood Knights versus Chaos Knights. So going on head-on and trying to countercharge is usually gonna have a bad time, because these are opportunity units. It's one thing is sending your Emperor Knights to charge down the Bretonian peasants. Another thing is, to go send them into Chaos Warriors. So numbers countercharging you are always gonna work out differently. And this is what led to these things. There's these differences between the races, different stats, and cavalry is just outnumbered. And we know the reason for this. Why the cavalry no longer has 80 riders like it had in previous games, like Rome 2. It has less riders. It's a multiplayer balance, esports units. So this is the primary balancing with cavalry, and this is why they're behind other units. You get speed at the cost of numbers in most situations. Some cavalry units are so strong that their numbers doesn't really matter if they're behind, they will still perform. But most of the time you're just outnumbered. And some people don't understand this. You're outnumbered. Whatever other issues come with this, if infantry is supposed to hit from the second rank, third rank, if their weapon range should be a factor, like we figured out earlier this year. Well, the big guns, why the big guns are losing to Saurus when they have better stats? Even the buff big guns are losing to Saurus because, How are they doing it? How the Saurus winning? Well, we went to look under the hood, the stats which you don't see, and the stats they're gonna just be talking about in this wall of text below. The things that you don't see, like unit mass, attack interval, weapon range. So a lot of these things, you know, you might read, might not understand, and you know, I don't know why they're even saying it, because the game doesn't show these things. So the Saurus were winning against Biggins just because they have better attack range. Saurus attack range for some reason is 2, and this attack range is not consistent throughout the whole game, and it's kind of an oversight. And this is why Biggins lose to Saurus when they can even have better stats due to green skin changes. They just... Saurus are attacking with more units at the same time, while the Biggins are, you know, handing first, second rank, and they just can't hit. They're just standing there taking the blows, because they can't reach the unit in the second and third rank. And this is also happening with Cavalry and with Infantry. It was happening on contact, and it happens after the contact, after the charge. They just get surrounded, and they get hit by so many guys because they're outnumbered. Either by, you know, them being stuck in the first rank, second rank, third rank. They're gonna just be way more attackers on the infantry unit than gonna be on the cavalry unit. And if 60 guys lose half their health and 15 entities from 6 to 45, they're gonna have a difficult time finishing off the enemy. While the infantry 100 guys might drop down to 70, losing half the health, and they're still gonna outnumber vastly the cavalry unit. So the less attackers, which are larger, missing, with questionable attack values due to esports, is gonna make all the difference against numerous attackers that gonna be attacking way more, because their stats like attack range, attack interval, base hit chance, min hit chance, max hit chance, more equals better, especially when it comes to quality. They're not attacking men-at-arms, they're usually attacking, the issue is counter-charging, they say here, especially infantry with high armor-piercing weapon strength. And there were definitely some issue with contact, how the damage was received. I've noticed this, especially with the Black Orcs. You know, if anything is charged with Black Orcs, you just counter-charge them. The Black Orcs will just smack them because of massive damage. But, you know, these things will just get surrounded because they try to get through. And they're not supposed to fight head-on. That's pretty much the thing. They're outnumbered. 2 major changes have been implemented to resolve this, but due to the nature of changing core game system, we decided a beta patch was the only safe way to ensure players aren't negatively impacted if these changes have unanticipated negative results in other interactions in battle. Oh boy. So they gave the game to ready for testing, instead of, you know, properly testing, you know, after 2 months of waiting for an update. Summary of the changes. Entities will no longer charge attack if their charge pad is blocked by a friendly entity. Well, this is actually interesting, because there were times where you could actually charge to your own unit, especially with cavalry units, like the Graveguard pinning enemy, and you would just charge to your Graveguard on the enemy. So this could be very noticeable. This particularly affects infantry versus cavalry countercharge interactions. This means that when an infantry unit charges into the cavalry, the back ranks no longer get to charge attack as well. So this is what I was talking about. The first rank, the second rank, the third rank, you know, like the infantry was getting way more attacks than they're supposed to. But, you know, this could have been, attended by design, because devs were silent about this for 4 years until some YouTuber made a video. You know, if this YouTuber didn't make a video to, you know, get cry out to people, everybody's complaining about these days. Everybody's complaining about heavy cavalry. Everybody's complaining about battle difficulty and balance. People who don't even understand, you know, the game systems. But, you know, if you go to Reddit, if you go to Steam discussion boards, Twitter forums, now everybody's complaining about it. and people who don't even understand, you know, the systems in the game. And the problem is because you don't see all the stats, and the problem is because you don't see the hidden stats. This reduces the damage dealt by infantry when counter-charging, as fewer entities get an immediate charge attack. This helps cavalry trade more favorably with infantry. So basically, keep in mind, guys, this is head-on charging to a unit that is counter-charging you. They haven't fixed cavalry to the point where they're actually stronger. They just made them better in head-on charges against the counter-charging units. The idiot way to use cavalry. Especially if you don't have the stats to support such strategy or tactics, whatever you wanna call it. Here we come here to confusing part. The calculation for collision damage has been changed. Collision damage, it exists. This is, you know, kind of like hard to differentiate if this means knockback damage. Collision damage. So this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Previously, collision damage was increased by the charge bonus of a unit. Collision damage. What is this stat? First time I'm hearing about collision damage as a separate stat. What about unit weapon strength and charge bonus where there's actually unit damage? And they start talking about collision damage. It was increased by a charge bonus on a unit, which meant that high charge bonus cavalry would have little difference in collision damage between braced and unbraced infantry. This meant that bracing often didn't mean a big difference for collision damage, so it would nearly always be better for infantry to countercharge. So basically, this hidden shit in the game, when you have units like Minotaurs. When you introduce Minotaurs in the game, you can totally see that shit is off. You see the numbers, and then you see them fight, and it's totally two different things. So there is hidden stats in the game which you don't have access to, and which makes these units either overperform or underperform, depending, you know, how the unit is. And I feel like Minotaurs might be the main example of this unit. It says, now collision damage is just a calculation using collision power and not adding the flat charge bonus. This essentially means charging the braced infantry will result in much lower damage on impact than unbraced infantry. So we wanted them to fix cavalry, but they're now also buffing infantry to do better against charging cavalry. Which means this cavalry fix also nerfs cavalry at the same time. So they might have looked into an issue and they have found another issue. The way this says here, the bracing units just got stronger against cavalry. And I hope this is not going to mean this, what they did in their recent game. I have a clip here to show you guys.
Let's go.
These are chariots charging the braced infantry in Troy. They just dead on stopped. So this looks to me like a very high mass units where they are bracing now will completely negate the charge and end up looking this silly, you know, just dead on stop. This could have been achieved against most units by deploying units like Longbeards into 6 rank formation, 6 ranks of them. So the way it says there, the way that I'm understanding, I could be misunderstanding, guys. Maybe you guys understand a little bit better the text with this hidden stuff. This looks to me like they nerfed cavalry. This looks like they nerfed the cavalry, and without going into the game and seeing in this beta and I don't wanna... I'm afraid to go into that beta and see that now the bracing is stronger than before. The way it sounds to me is they buffed infantry against cavalry charging when it's bracing. So bracing infantry now actually works for the first time. So they didn't want to just counter-charge, they wanted to give infantry a chance to just stay there and take the charge. But now it works even better, especially units which don't have charge defense versus large or versus all. So they're gonna brace even better if you deploy them right. Most people just deploy as wide as possible and ignore these things, cause I did myself, cause there was no point. Like they said, charging, counter-charging, or just standing still would make no difference. It was better to just counter-charge. So I was always deploying as wide as possible. But if the unit had charge defense versus large or all, it's just better to brace, like in the case of dwarves. But, you know, this is what it might happen now, more than before. Which means it looks like its cavalry got nerfed and not really fixed from the text they, you know, presented. It's hard to understand it because this is a lot of hidden stuff. Unit mass, collision damage, who has the range to attack, who has not a range to attack. It's all really fucking confusing because we don't see these stats. Apparently in Troy, if you mouse over damage, it will actually tell you some of these stats which are hidden in Warhammer. And they're talking about these stats that nobody even heard about before. Collision damage, and now not accepting flat charge bonus. Then what the hell is charge used for? Why does the charge bonus exist if there is collision damage separated from the actual damage? We knew about things like, you know, acceleration. The slow units couldn't deliver a proper charge, get a proper charge value. We knew about these things because we played the game for 6,000 hours, but now they're introducing more information that is just confusing. I'm getting confused, and I play this game a lot. Maybe I'm not understanding it right, but what it says there, it says to me that infantry is now better at receiving the charge than ever before, especially if you deploy it in a position you know, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ranks. This was usually the rule before, 6 ranks to receive the max buff for bracing. What happens here? This happens to the Longbeards getting charged by a lot of units. Just, you know, you've seen guys, Wolf Riders charging Longbeards before, right? You did it, you see it. And they just stop. They just stop and they do nothing. I feel like it's gonna be now with Chaos Knights and other cavalry as well. Especially against dwarf units, because the bracing seems to have just gotten better. So just look at this one more time here. Chariots charging here. I hope he is not playing on historical here, because, you know, infantry stopping chariots dead on. That shit makes no sense to me. Hold on, his general unit has 180 guys. Oh god, he's playing historical. Oh god. No wonder he's face palming. So a heavy infantry unit that was deployed for bracing just stopped those chariots without those chariots doing anything. Look at all this dust effect, you know, when they're gonna add this to Warhammer games. They cost so much dust and everything with that charge, but they just got stopped head on. I would have died inside if I'd seen that in a historical Troy version. It looks like historical, 180 guys, chariot to get stopped dead on by the infantry.
That was pretty cool. Quick, cover it with a cloud of smoke.
So yeah, this might just be happening more now because of this bracing change. Let's just read it one more time, guys. Let's just read it one more time. I'm reading this like for the 5th time now. The calculation for collision damage has been changed. Previously, collision damage was increased by the charge bonus of a unit, which meant that high charge bonus cavalry would have little difference in collision damage between braced and unbraced infantry. This means that the braced infantry didn't have the defense against charging unit. Would literally just doesn't matter if they stand still or countercharge. So this is beyond what people are asking for them to fix. People just want the cavalry to be good. This looks like a cavalry nerf, really. Because a unit would be bracing no matter what. Even if it didn't have a charge defense against large, it could brace. But from the sound of this, it means it didn't matter at all. So if we tried to brace before, it just didn't matter before. It just meant we would just charge forward, which, you know, I figured out after a long time. Would just be better to charge if unit is fast enough to create a charge in the short time. This meant that bracing often didn't make a big difference for collision damage, so it would nearly always be better for infantry to countercharge. And this is what I figured out after playing the game for a long time. Unless the unit had that charge defense, it would just be better just to attack. Doesn't matter who is charging, you just charge. If you have enough speed on the unit, which Dwarf Warriors and the Graveyard don't have, they are slow, they won't accelerate enough for a charge. So it's not gonna matter for them to brace or attack, so just stand still. Maybe they get surrounded because they charge into you. Now collision damage is just a calculation using collision power and not adding the flat charge bonus. It's now using collision power, calculation of collision power. Hidden stats, mass and collision power. We don't see the stats in the game, so why are they saying about these stats? Why can't we just mouse over weapon strength or the unit size and it tells us why can't we just go into the game and mouse over a unit, mouse over entity unit size, and it tells us mass. Let's say it's 1000 mass and it says like a 60 collision damage. Why are they talking about these things which we can't even see? Why can't we mouse over weapon strength and it says base weapon damage 20, armor piercing weapon damage 5, and then collision damage? Or under charge bonus. Why does it not say on the weapon strength the weapon range? Why doesn't it tell the attack interval? There's a shit ton of stats missing. If they can't feed this shit here, they can just feed it under a tooltip, right? Under a tooltip. So some YouTuber guy says cavalry sucks, they're getting killed by you know, shock infantry. What a shocker. Shock infantry kills cavalry, no problem. Because, you know, bestigors does not mean they're, you know, gonna be... It's bestigors. It's not great swords. Well, the great swords are overperforming as well, so there's definitely something there. The devs say that it is. And then the devs take a look into this, and they find out shit ain't right. And we've been playing with this shit for 5 years now. And now they're changing core stuff in the game in the last few months of the game that this game will, you know, have. Literally gonna get abandoned the moment Warhammer 3 gets released. Gonna get a brand of finished game, and they're gonna move on. And they try to fix this like the last few months of the game. I worry that these things are pointless, because are they trying to fix this for Warhammer 3 as well? Because it almost looks like they're experimenting the last few months of Warhammer 2, which is a complete game nearly. And we might not get any of this shit in Warhammer 3. So we don't have this information, and they are talking about stuff that we haven't even heard of before. 5 years later. That's been 5 years, guys, this month since Warhammer 1 was released. 5 years. And now they say collision damage is just a calculation using collision power. It's collision power, which we can't even see. We don't understand it, we can't even see it. How much collision power do the Emperor Knights have? How much collision power do the Horned Ones get? How much collision power do the Chaos Knights have? And not adding the flat charge bonus. This essentially means charging the braced infantry will result in a much lower damage on impact than unbraced infantry. What this sounds here is, it almost sounds like a nerf to shock cavalry. The cavalry that has less defense, less attack, but massive charge value. So what is going to be this collision power between Chaos Knight Lancers and the actual Chaos Knights? Which only were questionable to use the Lancers in the campaign over the regular Chaos Knights. It's, you know, I can take a lot of things out of this, but I don't understand it because we have never heard about these things before. This is the first time they talk about this shit. And we don't even have these stats in the game. Heck, they've been modifying the mass of units for years. It's been years now. Every few years, dwarves get more mass on their longbeards, changes to the mass. And they're putting in the patch notes. Let's find an example, guys. What I want to tell you, what I want to show you, an example of this. Okay, maybe this patch has it. Okay, here we go. So this was the patch before this one, and look at this. There is an actual balancing in the patch for mass of Malagor. This is Lord in this case. His mass going to increase from 800 to 1200, and they're telling us this. This is supposed to mean something. It's like he's not gonna get knocked down more to the ground now. He might be able to brace better. He's gonna take less charge damage, collision damage. They're telling us these numbers. Which we don't see. Every year, they're doing mass changes to the game. They're telling us these numbers, but there is nowhere to be found this number. We can't see the mass of a War Hydra. Mouse over unit size, it doesn't say the mass. Mouse over armor, no mass. There's no mass here. And they keep changing these numbers on a whim almost, it feels like. And now, even more than ever, they're trying to fix Cavalry by giving us some mumbo-jumbo information that nobody even understands. I don't understand it. What the hell is collision power now? We thought the charge bonus mattered for this. But you know, we've seen Minotaurs, and we've seen Minotaurs going through even bracing units. You know, guys, remember when the Minotaurs just charge into bracing halberds and they just die? Maybe this is what I mean. Because there are units in the game like Minotaurs, some other large units, not just Cavalry, which just don't respect the unit mass. They don't respect any of the rules in the game. So this thing we have discovered by just playing the game for a lot. Are they gonna get now just stopped? They won't be able to breach the formation if the enemy deployed 6 ranks for the mass bonus. So this is just confusing, guys. This could mean a lot of things. But if this was not working as intended for 4 or 5 years, and I had to check because some YouTuber made a video that Cavalry is underperforming, how are we to know that the changes are now going to be working as intended? That's why they released the beta, right? Are these YouTubers are going to go into it and they're going to charge Bestigors, and if the Bestigors get smacked, they're going to say they fixed it? But no Cavalry should win head-on against Bestigors on a full health. This is just very sad. What Cavalry should charge Bestigors with 10,000 health, 32 charge bonus and armor-piercing damage, and win? Only the best Cavalry in the game that's been fully buffed. On a base, the Bestigors will just rip to shreds any Cavalry unit in the game. So while this YouTuber is gonna test if they can handle Bestigors now, and they're gonna say if they fixed or not, who's gonna know? It feels like just on a whim and arbitrary. That's how it feels like to me. That's why I got so depressed yesterday when I was reading this shit. I didn't want to even come back stream later. Let's keep reading here. These 2 changes reinforce our intentions of how Cavalry and Infantry should interact. So by, you know, people wanting to fix cavalry, they nerf cavalry at the same time. Or they fix the infantry for the first time, because it was not working as intended for all these years. Cavalry should be favored in fights against countercharging infantry. Of course, the relative strengths of the units will still be important. So guys, I hope the Reddit sees this, I hope the YouTubers sees this, because this is, you know, should be written in caps lock. You should not be charging full health Bestigors and thinking your cav will do something. They'll take less damage, but they'll still lose. They tell you here, of course, the relative strengths of the units will still be important. Isn't this the main factor here? In what reality does a quality cavalry unit has a chance against quality infantry unit? They're just outnumbered by game design. By game design, they're outnumbered. And this is mainly due to multiplayer. If you go into Rome 2 and look at the difference between the heaviest cavalry and the heaviest infantry, there's a massive difference. Why? Because cavalry has 20 more riders than in this game. They just have more horses. And they're suddenly not even close to an even one-to-one fight. They're still going to get outnumbered. So just attacking head-on directly, it's not going to work. It's going to take massive damage. And if units get stuck, they're outnumbered, they're dead. Cavalry, how it's designed right now, it's best used against damaged units. Or hit them from the side or back, where you get a massive attack multiplier, so you don't miss. So you do like 3, 4, 5,000 damage within like 10 seconds. So the units hopefully breaks, or just cannot keep fighting the unit that hit them. Okay, now they go for the gritty details. Oh boy. First, some terminology and calculation specifics. Collision damage says here the amount of damage dealt when a large entity collides with a small entity. You know, reading this out loud, you can, you know, imagine, you know, first and foremost Minotors, right? Because how many times we've seen Minotors charge into halberdiers and halberdiers just get destroyed? And they're supposed to be okay against the Minotors. This follows the formula of collision power, collision damage normalizer. There's a formula here. They even post a formula here. Times collision damage modifier. But we have never heard about this before until now. The normalizer and modifier are factors that are used to modify the output of collision power into collision damage. Collision damage is 70% armor piercing. So we go into a unit here, let's say a unit of Minotors. Where do we see this number they're talking about? We see weapon strength and we see charge bonus. And they talk about here collision damage. This is something else. This is not weapon strength. This is not weapon damage. Armor piercing weapon damage. This is not charge bonus. This is something entirely different. It's amount of damage when a large entity collides with a small entity. Hold on, somebody's calling me. 1 second. I'm not recognizing the number. I'm not answering. And it says that collision damage is 70% armor piercing. 70% armor piercing. Collision power, this represents the momentum difference between entities. Collision power equals relative speed delta. This is, I guess, a multiplier times mass ratio. In a more detail, the formula is nt1 speed plus nt2 speed plus nt1 mass nt2 mass. Because the speed has things to do with charge. We did notice this over the years. I guess this is going to matter more if the units are actually bigger in between. Because if the unit is not going to be bracing with the new thing, it's going to go ugly for them. Bracing, when infantry is standing still and facing the enemy, they will get a bracing multiplier to their mass. A brace entity can have significantly improved mass, reducing the collision power and damage considerably. Yeah, we understood this thing exists in the game. Basically, unit that just doesn't move will brace. It also has to be deployed in a certain way. So you can go 4 ranks with or 5 ranks with Bestigors and thinking they're gonna be bracing if they're not standing still. Well, the unit like Bestigor should never brace. They should always countercharge. Well, for example, the Dwarf Warriors or the Longbeards or Halberdiers, they should brace. But they also have to be deployed in a way where the bracing will actually do something. And if you think the unit is just gonna brace 4 ranks deep, it's not gonna work. That's why those Miners just go into the Halberdiers, kill them all, like they're almost not bracing. This is just all very confusing because we don't have this information. They could just tell us anything here. They could just tell us anything. This could be a recipe for a new pizza. Knockdown getting up delay. Oh boy. The game has a random delay for how long entities will stay on the ground before getting up on knockdown. This is like what I hate the most. When a cavalry unit hits another infantry unit and just fly like 30 feet in the air, and then like 3 seconds later they get up like nothing happened, because, you know, they got hit, but they did not get hit. They got hit to take the knockback, but they did not get hit to take the damage. That's another, this is probably the main reason why Cav in this game is weaker than the Cav in some other Total War games. There is no knockback damage, and this is due to multiplayer. Because, you know, a couple of guys maneuvering cavalry would just trivialize most of the units. Some knockback damage should exist. I think that's like probably the core issue without them going into gritty details. Knockback damage. Like, knockback damage is the reason while the cavalry in games like Medieval 2 or Attila is just bullshit. And instead of, you know, balancing that, they completely removed knockback damage. You know, in that game you had the knockback damage with units that could have charge values of even like 200. So they literally wanted the cavalry, when they hit, they kill everything, without a chance for the unit to survive or to fight back. The changes themselves are as follows. The check for entities in front of others before charging means that infantry units get fewer charge attacks when counter-charging. Our testing quantifies this reduction at around 35% less attacks, which means less damage dealt by infantry on the charge. Yeah, that makes sense. This is probably gonna be the main damage mitigator now with the change. We have tweaked the collision damage calculation formula to have a bigger delta for possible damage. Difference in range of damage output increases the amount of damage per collision power. However, charge bonus is no longer added into the collision power, as this was reducing the impact of bracing on collision power. The way they're saying this, you know, so what did the charge does now? What's charge then used for? Is it just for the attack chance now? Because even if you deliver a charge, there is always at least 10% chance you deal 0 damage. Does the collision damage follows the same rules of base hit chance, minimal hit chance, and maximal hit chance? 35% base hit chance, 8% min hit chance, and 90% max hit chance. Does it follow the same rules? Charge bonus will still add to melee attack and damage after collision, I think. However, charge bonus is no longer added to the collision power, as this was reducing the impact of bracing on collision power. The largest change should be seen with the heavy cavalry that have relatively smart charge bonuses. This is what I'm saying, you know. So what we read so far from this is just telling me that Chaos Knights just better than the Chaos Knight Lancers. It's a multiplier on the infantry base mass, Savonen. And if the unit is deployed right. Because apparently it would not always brace properly for the collision damage. So this was broken in all these 5 years of the game. This type of stuff makes units like Lancers make no sense. It's like, prime example, without going into Chaos Knights, let's talk about Black Knights, which are basically just lower tier Chaos Knights in design. You have Black Knights, and now they have anti-infantry, and you have Black Knights with lances and barding. They just have big charge, but their attack and defense is shit. Why these units don't have anti-large? Why not make the regular cavalry anti-infantry bonus and lancer cavalry anti-large bonus, instead of having hidden stats and different charge bonuses, which are questionable at best compared to the loss in defense, attack, and anti-infantry bonus? It would be easy way to just give Chaos Knights anti-infantry bonus and Chaos Knight Lancers anti-large bonus, instead of confusing everybody with this shit. Yeah, we don't see this information, Savon, and the game does not give you this information. You should really see the bracing number, and if the unit is actually properly deployed to get the the max bracing bonus, it should change, in real time. But you don't see this information. The game is hidden. It's hidden in the game. We have tweaked the collision damage calculation formula to have a bigger delta for possible damage. Difference in range of damage output and increase of the amount of damage per collision power. You know what I'm worried the most, guys? If this collision damage does not follow the same rules as regular attacks. I mean, why should it? You're charging with hundreds of horses, or monsters into a bunch of infantry, there should be some kind of stampede effect or damage. Why should we follow the same base hit chance, min hit chance, and the max hit chance rules of the game if it's separate damage? This could be why the Minotaurs are just stomping when they are charging like that. They might just have a 100% chance to deliver this damage. Makes you wonder if this actually buffed Minotaurs even further. But it looks like in some cases it's gonna be worse for these large units. However, charge bonus is no longer added into the collision power, as this was reducing the impact of bracing collision power. The largest change should be seen with the Cavalry and the relatively small charge bonus. Okay. Collision damage normalizer has increased from 0.7 to 0.8. Yeah, this tells me so much here, guys. .7 to 0.8. Collision damage modifier reduced from 0.6 to 0.5. Charge bonus is no longer added to collision power. Ah, damn. It's almost like they wanted to put a wall of text, like they did something here, but the fuck they did is it's hard to understand unless we actually can see it in the game. The knockdown getting up random delays have been increased, as Cavalry would often not have a window to disengage cleanly, as the Infantry would get up inside the Cavalry unit and disrupt disengagement cycle charging. So this is how they're dealing with, you know, Cavalry getting surrounded and the entities just get killed. So what they did here, guys, listen to this. So the Cavalry goes in, guys get dropped down. And the people are telling you, you know, how much the charge bonus lasts in like dozen seconds. You really have to pull out immediately. You go in and you pull out immediately. Don't stay inside. You have a window of under 3 fucking seconds. And then, you know, the common misconception, you know, charge bonus lasts, you know, for X amount of seconds and then just, you know, goes down. And then people are, you know, wondering why these units are getting surrounded and getting killed. And listen to this now. Listen to this. The knockdown getting up random delays have been increased, as Cavalry would not often get in a window. Okay, Mama Jumbo. Listen to this. Just listen to this time window. The delay has been changed from 0.7 to 2 seconds. So literally sometimes you have under 1 second time for this. To 2 seconds max. And now it's to 1 second to 2.7 seconds. I didn't know I was playing Grandmaster StarCraft 2 here, guys, that we need such fine tuning of 0.3 seconds to 0.7 seconds. Heck, I thought I was playing Bronze League here, guys. These Grandmaster numbers are too much for me. Fucking hell, man. This is the fucking problem, guys. Why didn't it increase it by like another second there? I've been playing the Bronze League this whole time and they're just tuning the game for the Grandmasters. I'm just not good enough here. It's gone up by 0.3 to 1 seconds, Dr. Vector. My bad. From 0.3 to 0.7 seconds. So minimal used to be 0.7 seconds, now it's down up to 1 second. And maximal used to be 2 seconds, now it's 2.7 seconds. Literally, it's gone. It's gone. You still in? Well, you're surrounded, you're gonna die now. Who's gonna notice this shit? What's this, the phasing, the going through some kind of immunity when you're trying to pull out? You literally, they gave you not even 1 second, guys. They didn't even give you 1 second. In a game where just you have fucking StarCraft 2 dropouts dictating esports balance, or people, old people like Marconos playing. What the fuck is 1 second? What the fuck is he gonna do in 1 second, guys? It takes like 3 seconds to move a mouse for him. What the fuck is this balancing, guys? Just... I don't know. This shit makes no sense. And this is the solution to pulling out. No phasing, no some kind of damage immunity, but you get 0.3 to 0.7 seconds. That's all you get. And now the infantry can brace better than before. But hey, they're trying to fix Cavalry. I'm getting so fucking thirsty right now. So fucking thirsty, and the water will not do. Has to burn my throat. Bracing multipliers have been increased to further improve the power of bracing against collision damage. So they try to fix Cavalry, but they also, you know, fix the other stuff now as well. The goal is to increase the difference between bracing and countercharging in terms of how much collision damage is dealt. The problem is most people just deploy a formation and they never countercharge. Because they usually just try to shoot you with archers or artillery. For example, you know, they just react. They're not gonna send the whole line to charge. Like, let's say you're getting attacked by the greenskins. Where the fuck are you gonna countercharge? They just totally fucked up the pigs, for example. The pigs are gonna be pathetic against dwarves now. Even worse than before. They're a little above dwarves with this change. In campaign. Pigs, so by fixing the cavalry, the way this sounds, it looks like they nerfed cavalry. This sounds like massive buffs to dwarves. The goal is to increase the... Okay. When the dwarves countercharge, they take it and they shoot you, they shoot you dead. This is massive nerfs to greenskins. Especially against the dwarves. Because, you know, this is a faction that relies on charge the most. And now the dwarves will be bracing better than ever. This was supposed to be a cavalry fix, but it looks like cavalry nerf to me. And this is for idiot charging, guys. The main complaint is for idiot charging. Head-on charges into full health units. This whole thing pretty much started with, you know, people wanna do idiot charging. Like, they are charging downhill into 10,000 Urukai. And they don't have Gandalf to blind the pikes. So head-on idiot charging was improved. I guess, you know, it's a buff for Bretonia, but they already had OP Cavalry. So yeah, it looks like idiot charging is better, but you know, I guess it's good buff for dwarves and some other infantry. Braced units now get their max bracing bonus at 8 ranks deep. Oh, that's, yeah, it was 6 before. So if you guys wanna brace against the enemy, if you guys like have pigs coming from left and from the right, you know, in the corner, deploy them at 8 ranks deep. Literally just gonna cancel their extra buff. Scotty says I get married in 8 days and leave Monday. How about a wedding presents? Full Total Warhammer until Monday. Well, I was about to start a new campaign, Scotty. But it's a Celotarian campaign. And grats. Did you inform your wife that Diablo future wife that your Diablo 2 Resurrect is getting released? Bracing units now get their max bracing moves 8 ranks deep. Max bracing multiplier for mass from ranks was changed from 3.5 to 4. So you have to go thicker now, and the multiplier is even higher now. Charge the defenders have their bracing multiplier increased from charge defenders. Guys, you know, this could be all just, you know, pro numbers and pro shit here, but why do I have a feeling this is just more of that proving grounds shit? Six ranks. Well, on the bright side of things, you can brace again with normal units.